into what will hopefully be a bit of a closer game for the players on Spot Up as they got decimated by Envy in the first match. And to be honest, it's not all that surprising. Lex, I think you said it best. The teams just, they kind of drew the short straw. Envy may be one of the hottest-handed teams coming into that open qualifier. A lot of the pro teams were saying, hey, Envy's really the team to watch out for. It's a little bit of an unknown variable because we knew what to expect from them before, but with these two new players, Food and Crashies, joining the roster, things have really amped up, and it seems like that is in fact true. This is the First Strike Qualifier presented by Nerd Street Gamers. I'm your host, Bach. Lex, did that map go exactly how you thought it was going to go, or did you think that Spot Up was maybe going to put up more of a fight?
You know, with Envy's starting defense, like if I'm, let's just theory land for a second. If I'm IG only Spot Up, I'm going into that matchup like with a cheat sheet in front of me of everything that I'm going to play from start to finish, and it looked like they were on bullet point number 2. They're like, all right,
exactly,
pistols through, anti-eco through. This is our gun round. We're going to run a cat split, and they tried that like 6 times in that half, and it was getting stuffed. So I don't necessarily think it was something that I expected in the sense of I expected Spot Up to find rounds against a weak Envy at places and around the map, maybe at mid, maybe over at B. But it was like the attempts never even came through. So it wasn't how I envisioned it playing out. But I'll say this, the outcome in the final result certainly was. I expected Envy to win it decisively. And I will say that I'm expecting Spot Up in map 2 to be playing a little bit more, you know, with passion and some heat and some fire, because these guys, I mean, they're playing very careful, very trying to play very proper, make sure they're making good decisions. They're all jiggle peeking these angles together for the trade, and people hesitate. People aren't making the normal, you know, decisions that they normally would, I think, in a less pressure scenario, Ben Silly. So I think that the map 2 might be a little bit closer, but yeah, map 1 was a blowout. Envy took it decisively.
I definitely echo that sentiment. I think sometimes, especially when I said that, you know, all they did was play Ascent for Envy since the last week. So maybe the only thing that they did was study, and then they were giving them too much respect, where there was moment of hesitations where, again, kits weren't being used to take map control, and it was all body peaks. They had the right numbers to try to bring the fight towards Envy, but sometimes as well, when you have players like Caboose that always gets first blood, and you don't have anything to deny them from, then it's just going to show a one-way side of affair.
Well, I think we're just about ready to jump into this second map, and hopefully we'll see a bit more of a front come in from Spot Up to try and prevent Envy from rolling away with this series. It's not looking good for them, and just a score update for those of you that are watching this stream, over on the B stream, we are live currently with Sentinels and Dignitas, and Dig is currently right on the edge of picking up a victory over top of Sentinels. It's, I think, 11-9 right now, so keep your eyes peeled over there. But, guys, we are ready to jump into this second map in the series. It's going to be Haven, and Spot Up's got their backs against the wall. Vansili, Lex, take it away.
Thank you so much, Boxer. We are moving into Haven now. Map picked by Envy versus Spawn Up, as Envy were dominating on that first best of 3 on Ascent before. This time we will have Spawn Up on the defender side and Envy on the attack. While they will try to press forward here on their end, looks like to be an A-side hit to start things off here, Lex. But again, this is Envy's map pick. We think it's going to be close. You want to say that it's going to be close, but I think we're still going to see a dominating performance from Envy once again.
I really like this. They're leaving Sova, I believe that's Crashies, over here at long C, either to hold for the push or for a late C hit. So I'm anticipating maybe Envy either calling Crashies back to come A or throwing a little bit of a hit over at A first and coming back C. Nope, I'm wrong. They're already walking back towards C. So this C split could probably come in here in the next 10 to 15 seconds or so. And Envy, you know, they don't know it yet, but there have been 3 or 4 players over here on the C bomb site side of the map for the entirety of this round so far. So they're walking directly into a Spot Up stack.
Yeah.
Moving up with a drone here at long C is Crashies. It'll get blind, so it won't spot the stack. It gets dropped, and Caboose comes out either way. And there is a 4-man crossfire on the C bomb site. First 2 kills go the way of Spot Up. Campecki finds those, and Envy is forced to retreat, doubling back now, sprinting towards A. You know, I don't think Food knows it yet, but he does. There are 2 rotators through CT coming back to him right now. So he knows that the A bomb site is clear. Finds the first. Doesn't know the second is behind him, so Tucker will collect that. Now it's a 2-on-4, and they have won the foot race. Envy gets a free bomb site and a plant over at A. Spot Up, you know, they're still in command of this round, 4-on-2. But the fact is, the bomb has gone down, and this is certainly a precarious spot as both players are crossfire at CT. They do not hit their shots. Tucker and Bunny clean it up, and I believe I misspoke during that round, but spot up a beautiful pistol. Excellent reads. They stuck together throughout, and unfortunately, that was an excellent lurk from Food there through B to get that kill on the A rotate. But unfortunately, he second-guessed himself. I don't know whether that was an audio cue that he heard when he turned around, but he was unable to lock up the heaven control for his team. So that went from a 3-on-4 very winnable situation from Envy to being a surefire retake for spot up. For spot up. So excellent round of them. That was honestly, Envy, I thought, strategically speaking, if they had maybe caught that info off of Crashy's drone right there and saved those two players from moving into the C bomb site, this could have been a very different outcome. But the very small details throughout that pistol made the difference for spot up. And now it's 1-0.
I just have to cut you real quick, too, because we had Food towards B main, and we had two players for Envy still towards A at spawn side before they even got into the site. And the turret, somehow, I heard the shots coming through from A heaven. So I think there's probably a position from where that turret is that maybe it was accidental, where it's still able to spot some players. We're going to have to check back into the reviews later on, because at least for me, it was questionable of that play. Or at least not from the way that spot up's playing that turret, but just that maybe there's a spot that they didn't think of, and Riot maybe skipped on that. I found that a little bit weird. Yeah. I could be crazy at the same time, too. Nonetheless, though, it's still going to be Caboose moving in forward with the first kill into the A site. And while this slows down a little bit, I just wanted to chime into what you were saying, too, from Envy's strategy. So I think Spawn Up did a good job in terms of stacking the right site, thinking that the hit was going to eventually happen towards the C sign, but they really wanted to use Food to try to catch rotations. But unfortunately, nobody rotated from spawn up side at A all the way to C through B. They went through the spawn side, which made it a little bit harder for Envy to rotate back towards the A site. That said, though, as they get the opener, as we mentioned before, they're still looking to revert back towards the C side and go for a 5-man split in that area, where Kenpeki, I was going to say, is going to get covered by a dark cover, but just before that, he gets dispatched by his opponent with a headshot coming through from that jet. So now Mame continues with a second one into the face of Figment, and it's looking to be a thrifty round. I think history is going to repeat again in this series.
These Sheriff buys are so scary. I mean, every single challenge coming out from Spot Up is resulting in a deletion from the end of a Sheriff. Those were beautiful shots from Mame, I believe. Yeah, I really wonder, you know, when we're talking about the skill level and the mechanical prowess of guys on Envy that have obviously gained some notoriety in the scene, like, several of these players aren't necessarily, you know, on the younger end of the spectrum, but you have the young and up-and-coming talent of Crashies and Caboose, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. On the other end of this, you have Spot Up, which 5 players that, you know, we're talking about it in the pregame, right? These guys have been around this scene in Valorant for, you know, since release. Wow, okay, this push down mid from Kenpeki is going to result in some success. At least he doesn't get spotted right away. He gets cleaned up by Envy, and this mid play just gets shut down immediately. Actually, as I say that, okay, picking up 3 crisp headshots with a ghost. Nice shots. He gets overhealed here, but isn't able to make anything of it. Crashies collects the final frag, 2-1 to Envy. And I was just mentioning, you know, Spot Up has a lot of talent on their roster, and I think, you know, for a team that has been playing together for a couple months, and is at the point now where they're qualifying for an event like this, they're playing against the best teams in North America. It's admirable that they're at this point at all. So I expect that these guys, you know, they have the ability to turn it on. They have the ability to be, you know, around the same skill level, or perhaps maybe slightly below the likes of Envy. But, you know, Envy is just so good at this point of playing controlled 5-man Valorant. And right there in that anti-eco, they go for an aggressive mid-push and are covering everything. And it's a beauty of almost a spectacle to watch. You know, the comparison of the two levels of teamwork between these two sides is very apparent. But it's not for lack of skill or ability, as we saw at the end of that round. Just excellent headshots coming out from, I believe that was Bunny, right?
Yep.
So these Spot Up guys are very talented, but Envy is just showing us they are not to be messed with. Right over here at short, Bunny catches the elbow of Mummy, finds one, spots the second. FNS, his cover is blown. He's got a cage out, and he is able to make it out of there, but Caboose falling with a headshot to Rustin. Bunny getting caught out by FNS, who was making a great play up short through the cage, catching out both. And suddenly the A bomb site is vacant despite one player already up there in heaven. 3-on-2. The The retake is still very doable for Spot Up at this point. But for Envy, on this A bomb site, Food, FNS, putting that spike down in the back of the site. This is going to be a tight angle scenario when the retake comes in, and I think FNS getting caught out. Okay, there's the first one on the Tucker from Food. FNS finding another, and this 2v5 happened so quickly, I can't even commentate it properly because it's just Envy headshots all day. Spot Up even moves in together. It's not as though they were challenging individually. Oh, at least it didn't seem that way from our perspective. Excellent shots coming out from Envy, and what a play from FNS to bring that round back in their favor. Wow.
That's how you hold it. And I think it's also away from how Envy is continuing to press forward, despite them losing a player early into the round. I do like it from Spot Up, is they want to bring that disrespect back to Envy, where they were kind of being pushed on the defender side when they were playing attack on Ascent. Well, that second round, they pushed down towards mid on an eco. They got 3 kills out of that. They're doing the same thing right now, and this time it comes into fruition as Kempeki gets the kill onto Food. The rest of them now still holding this window side, while Envy are still booking it towards the A side. You still have Killjoy holding towards that A, that he's making his way towards Heaven, but this is going to give an opportunity for a big flank here for Spawn Up if they decide to continue to push forward. But it looks like they're all falling back. But look at that big map. We got roamers and roamers after roamers. Is roamerception right now for these two teams, but it's still looking to be Envy on the upper hand. This is such a big flank from Crashies, and there's 2 right there, executed. He knows exactly where the last person's at as well. I'm pretty sure he heard the footsteps, so that's why he's just looking for the angle. That recon dart's gonna not spot him, but at least he still finds him by checking that 50. So 1 more to go with another counter flank coming through. It's gonna be Figment also spawning here from defender spawn, and that's it. So four players alive for Envy, 4-1 on the scoreline. But again, I think Envy, as I mentioned, where Spawn Up were really trying to bring that fight back versus Envy. I'm talking about the round before where they had that gun round. I think when that cage came up, that's where you have to take advantage of what you have in terms of a positive outcome and fall back into the site for the A side so you can still have a stronger hold. Yeah, it was still a 3 versus 2 on a retake, so I guess that's why they were comfortable in trying to fight it back and still maintain control of that sewers. But I do believe is play the numbers game. Get the kill, fall back, and play better angles as well. So it's not predictable of when the cage comes down that the guy's already going to pre-fire around the corner, you know?
I think you're absolutely right. 5-on-3. Want to just come back and play numbers? I will say that, you know, if you are over there at short and you have 3 teammates on the bomb site with you, it's tempting to re-peek it, and it didn't even matter because FNS just made a huge play in that round. So a contrast to what we've seen the past few gun rounds is a C-split coming out here from Envy, and it's fast, it's quick. Figment finds the first 2 coming out of Garage. He's going to collect the 3rd onto FNS. What a hold from Figment. Crashies and Mame poking holes on other parts of the map. And Mame coming out with an excellent updraft. Figment gets deleted. A terrific performance in that round so far from him, but it's not enough to get it done yet. Tucker coming in. Crashies finding 3 on the round. 2 quick Vandal headshots to seal it. Wow, that was a great start for the side of Spot Up. Figment holds strong with 3 quick kills coming out of Garage and another 2-on-X situation for Envy. Yeah. Wow, Mame coming up long with that dash. Ultimate out, knives are flying, collecting 2 headshots. That is absurd.
So it was like, what, a 2v3, then a 2v5, I think that they just lost, right? Because when you're looking at the tally, Mame got 2, and you saw Crashies with a triple in that last round. So despite as much that they tried to do for Figment and his teammate towards that C side to weaken down the opposition as much as they can before they fall, you're hoping that your teammates, while they're rotating, or even the guy that's still alive inside the site, could do something before he falls, and Envy just continues to catch Spawn Up off guard, putting him back on another eco here. But this time, Spawn Up are not going to try to push aggressively towards his mid side because they've done it twice already. They want to change their play style a bit. So they're looking for map control towards long C. You already have 1 playing inside that cubby, while the rest do have this crossfire set up inside B. So this is an opening for Envy with the Lear to try to open up the site. Caboose spots 1 and forces him to fall back. Rustin's on the other side as a Killjoy, and as he throws these nanoswarms down, Envy are just pressing into the site. So FNS is going to put the plant, maybe even burn down. He's down to 10 HP, but it's good enough. He's still alive, and he still have 5 players alive on an attempt of an eco retake for Spot Up. And they're watching the right angles, out the window, through the wall. They're all dropping, and Spot Up is not looking good here, and it's looking to have a 6-1 Envy.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm not sure how often you find yourself in front of a nano swarm from Killjoy, but I've seen FNS standing, and at that time he was planting the bomb, so we'll give him a pass there. Standing in nano swarms like 3 or 4 different times, being caught by the observer. And I was going to say something about it, but honestly, I don't know if this is a boomer thing. Like, am I just old, deaf, and blind? But I can't ever tell when I'm taking damage from it. Like, I've legit seen him taking like at least 200 damage so far in this match unnecessarily because he just doesn't realize he's taking damage. Well, FNS, careful. Watch out for that, man.
And I've tested out before when we did have the Nanosword come out for the first time with Killjoy in the release in the summertime, is if I actually run through the Nanoswarm, I think I only lose about 75 HP. Which means right now that the tick on the Nanoswarm is a lot less faster than, for example, a Brimstone Molly or a Hot Hands on the ground. So you could actually play around that a bit, and FNS is a Counter-Strike player. 10 HP, 100 HP, it doesn't matter. As long as you're alive, you can still switch the round over. And speaking of switching the rounds over, it's finally a great hold from Spawn up towards the seaside, and Mame, who was trying to watch his teammates back, doesn't even get to see them all fall down because of that dark cover. So now it's his turn to try to get a clutch on a 4 versus 1. There's still a minute to work with on the clock, but the spike is down. I like it from Spot Up. They don't have to push forward or press forward. They're just going to hold the crossfire and maybe even let Envy save his round, save this gun.
Yeah, I'm a little, maybe they're just super overconfident and they don't care right now, but they just came out of that long sea smoke when the enemy knows that they're there.
Yeah.
With like no flashes, like nothing. Like there was no utility after the first barrage. Like there was a little bit of infighting going on. I think utility got thrown out. But I watched 3 players walk through that smoke, and it didn't turn out so well. There was a firing squad on the other side, so I'm wondering whether or not they for some reason thought that they had an opening and an opportunity to walk in and take a clean gunfight. It was not there, as we can painfully see in the observer side of things. So Spot Up does claim their second, and that's a good start to maybe bring this half back in a direction that, you know, when you're down 6-1 from a caster's POV, I'm spelling doom. This looks bleak for them, considering how the last map has gone and how they've been playing throughout this game so far. I just think for Spot Up, that's a morale boost. But I think that was more of a blunder from Envy than anything, decided to go through that smoke. You know, if they had less time on the clock and it was desperate, perhaps. But nevertheless, moving into the next round, 9th round of the half. And Envy is creeped out of the mid window and walked up onto the B bomb site. And Spot Up has been playing off of B most of this half, relying on those, you know, Killjoy kit to figure out when the contact is made. And Kanpeki's actually becoming a factor with the operator. Finds the first one, 5-on-4 for Spot Up, and that's a big change that we haven't seen out of him. Finding the entry kills for his team, and there's another one. Caboose will fall, and he'll get cleaned up by Food. But excellent job by Kanpeki to at least get this retake started for Spot Up. A 3-on-3 now. Food moving back out of this Killjoy, and this is kind of the difficult part about retaking on B, or maybe even just defending the retake on B, is just how many angles you're going to have to cover with no smokes, and there it is. Without waiting for Figment's smoke, they're just going to get peeked from everywhere, and unfortunately, Spot Up gets cleaned up instantly. Well played to Envy. 7-2 now. And I mentioned that was an opportunity for them to get back into this half, and unfortunately, it's here we are again. Envy looking to take the lead even further.
I definitely do think that now that the money's right for Spot Up, that the deciding factor was Kanpeki with the operator, as he did, you know, 2 rounds ago when they won that round. And then into this round, he got 2 nice holds for players trying to get from Envy into the B site. So I think he's doing his job there. And you're right in terms of waiting for the Figment smoke. We never saw that come out. So I think what they're trying to do is, off the Killjoy, they know, okay, they're pushed all the way back. They can be towards the A-Link. You're playing all the way back towards window or even towards grass. So let's try to fight back towards them. But I think at that point, why don't you just throw the smoke from Figment into the window side and then try to spam back against your opponents in the end? But now, as we're talking about the entries that continues forward, that were denied by Kanpeki before, well, it's just going to be the operator of Mummy instead with his teammate opening into B, easy plant as well, where even these flanks it's just not working out, unfortunately. So the only one remaining is Figment with the Spectre, who also get dismantled by FNS. And that's a flawless round coming in for Envy, where the money continues to stay very positive for the team. They're going to be okay to buy for the last 2 rounds, where Spot Up is just they're gonna look into their wallets and try to find as much change as they can to try to salvage these last 2 rounds.
Interesting that Envy 2 rounds in a row, just basically walking onto B, knowing that most of the bomb site is vacant for the taking. And, you know, Spot Up has shown a couple different looks on defense, and they clearly are stacking towards different bomb sites that they think Envy is going to be playing towards. But, you know, I wonder whether or not some of the difficulty that Spot Up is having now is lack of intelligence, I guess, around the map. You know, you don't have a Sova, you don't have a Cypher. There's a lot that you just don't know when it comes to Envy and where they are and where they're pushing. And right now, Caboose is just walking onto B. He's just walking through the site, knowing that it's just a gunfight standing between him and a bomb plant. And there's 2 kills instantly going to Envy. Mame collects a, or almost collects a.
No way.
Okay. I'm like calling his operator kill and it doesn't happen. I'm like, he's pulling out a shorty at range. This is weird.
It's like somehow
makes
he
me
knew.
look smart. Thank you. I
He just
that.
knew Tucker was going to come in with the blast pack and try to push him forward. He's like, I'm waiting for you. He's already aiming in the air with the shorty. That's crazy.
We got double Odins coming out for Envy now on Mame and Caboose, because that is the world that we live in right now.
You might even have 5. Because I think like it's one of those Counter-Strike Dust 2 strats where you have 5 oppers peeking out mid. So you're just gonna, there you go. So you're gonna have full ops, full Odins. You're just spraying and praying as much as you can at the beginning of the round. And if you don't get a kill in the end, well, you just switch back to your regular rifles and then try to get back into the round. I think it's a smart way to play it for sure, and also a nice way to meme it against your opponents to show how confident you are walking into this game. And Caboose, though, he pays a price, but Crashes and Mame are just retaliating it back. So Garage control in favor of Envy, moving towards the back of the C. Kentucky doing as much as he can, but then FNS, he actually didn't switch back from the operator, so that leaves Rustin, the last man standing. He does make it a 2 versus 1, but the jig is up in terms of his position, and FNS is looking for the surprise kill with the operator, makes it a 1 versus 1 courtesy of Rustin. So that's why you haven't even seen them plant that spike yet. They're just going for the frag fest. And there you go. Food takes the last one. We're inning and a half, 10-2. And at that point, though, Lex, you did bring up a good point. They don't have a Sova. They don't have a Cypher because they're playing a triple duelist. So maybe, you know, a 10-2 scoreline is kind of normal right now for the setup that they have so that they could actually play a more aggressive style on the attack. That could pay off, kind of like what Cloud9 did when they played this triple setup versus Sentinels.
I mean, we'll see, but I'll be honest. Like, I'm a little, I mean, because they are running triple duelists, as you mentioned, I'm a little disappointed in their lack of taking map control and pushing Envy back on that. Like, legit, they walked onto bomb sites the entire time, Envy did, because they just knew, you know, we're not going to come up against any trips. We know where he's putting his turret. You know, the alarm bots aren't really a threat, and their positioning has been, you know, dedicated towards the bomb sites throughout most of this half, A and C rather. So, moving into this pistol, a devastating half for Spot Up. It's going to take quite a bit, I think, to recover in this series. It's got to start right here, that's for sure. An A-split coming out from Spot Up. And here it comes Caboose, finding one on the back of the head of Rustin, finding another on a Figment. And the gunfights do go the way of Spot Up eventually. A 3-on-3 now. The bomb plant is not going down just yet. A little bit of pressure coming in from CT. The Sova drone there at least getting a tag off, delaying the post-plant situation for Spot Up. And it's delaying enough to where Envy's able to get in CT, but it doesn't matter. Kanpeki just swings, collects 2 Burst Fire Classic kills. That's his 4th on the round. Spot Up finds 1. And, you know, I believe they won the first pistol in the last half, correct?
Yep.
So this is, they won pistol, and I think they went down 1-2. I actually don't remember, and it's not really relevant. Yeah,
they won pistol, they lost 6 in a row.
There it is. So, I mean, like, not getting eco'd here is priority number 1 after what happened in the first half. So, for Spot Up, this is a moment of truth on whether or not this is even going to be a competitive game, I think.
Yeah, and the issue right now is when they lost those anti-ecos, I think they even did that on a set too, was because you have these buys coming in for Envy. And now you have Spot Up forced to walk into the crosshair where the Sheriffs are holding angles from. So it's not going to be an easy victory for Spot Up, but just to reflect back on that pistol, it was a story of not clearing your 50s towards sewers. A nice shot there by Crashy. But the story of not checking your 50s, a dink long range, that's 145 damage into Rustin down to 5. But at least they take the upper hand and make it 4 versus 4. But thankfully, now that it's calm again, they didn't check sewers. 2 of them died. But you just got to thank the rest of Spot Up that rushed up towards the A side to allow for them to get that round, right? It was a 4K, an individual performance from one player to salvage that round for Spot Up. So now they just need to be a little more concise now, especially now that they're playing on the attacker side too, and they have one player that's at 5 HP. And they don't really know what they want to do yet. It seems as though they want to still fight back towards the C side after wasting a bit of time, thinking that Envy will rotate out of it. but you still have one player very close, and that is going to be the Jet. That Mummy gets punished by throwing a Cloudburst and giving away his position. But this is good for Spawn Up. Don't lose any other players right now into this round. Don't lose a X versus how many players that you have as the upper hand, as we saw earlier on in this map as well. But this is a big paranoia that came through from the garage, and Figment manages to get 2 kills, leaving only Caboose the last man standing. So this is looking clean for Spawn Up finally, where you have the ones that's the lowest HP to die, but at least you have the round. 10-4, still in favor of Envy.
Yeah, not a bad round for Spot Up. 3 survive. You get the bomb planted. Things are good. And honestly, 10-4 is not at all a lost cause. I mean, I think it's a little cliche as a caster to be like, you know what, this pistol's so important, because they all are. But this half, I mean, this is actually a useful time to point out building the economy early, making sure you're not giving unnecessary deaths to Envy, making sure you're playing together and at least punishing their almost cavalier attitude about playing this map. They've been pushing up, down mid, up mid, flanking, rotating around heavily, and that's not a bad thing, but it's easily exploitable. We saw in that last round, a C stack just kind of out of complacency collapses and moves over to B, leaving the Jet alone over there. It was almost a perfect read out of them. That said, Spot Up, I mean, if a good decision goes your way, if 2 good decisions go your way, I'm sure this is a feeling of almost levity, knowing that you have an opportunity to win some rounds here against Envy, who has just been, they've had their number throughout this series so far. It hasn't even been competitive, right? So, you know, I'm just hoping for Spot Up's sake that they can take the successes of the last couple rounds. Crashies just deletes Kanpeki. What a shot.
That was a double swing, right? So I think that was a double dink coming forward. And Caboose in another angle. He gets another one, and as they're pushing forward, he dies, but the information's there. There's 2 more players at least in his point of view before he died that he knows they're going to press forward and press aggressively towards this A site. But close range, FNS, Frenzy goes for the first, looks for the second as he's being pinned across at the default boxes. Nobody's shooting that dart. Why is nobody shooting that dart? And now it just leaves Tucker on his own. And that's it.
All right.
3
I might
players
actually
alive.
start believing in a caster's curse, Vansilli. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you just
you're good.
you just said something that I'm like, yep, actually, they're going to get ecoed again. And yeah, I mean, my bad. But Envy's really good with these sheriffs, man. Oh my goodness, these shots coming out from these guys are just... I'm terrified if I'm Spot Up, Vansilli, going into these bomb sites knowing that Caboose is going to be holding an off angle against you.
I'm still I'm still for any other top teams right now that's currently playing in a first strike qualifier. And, you know, from the way that we're looking at how Envy's playing, I wouldn't be surprised if they make it to the top 4 into the first strike finals too in the first week of December. So there's going to be a lot of eyes once again when people are saying, like, some people are some fans, some teams may be sleeping on Envy. Well, it's definitely going to be on the radar of everybody right now to study how this team plays. And so far, it's nothing special really from Envy. It's just the way that they're getting these angles and these first bloods, and nobody's back there to trade from Spawn Up. So we still don't know what's the real test, what's the real potential of Envy so far since we've had Crashies and Food in this roster. And you see now into this round, the bonus comes through. Kanpeki gets 2 kills with the Operator, but they're chasing him down 1 by 1. And even a flank that came towards the end, even if FNS died, there was no way that we're going to be able to save our Operator there for Kanpeki. And he's doing as much as he can, right? He's on the top of the scoreboard, leading his team 14-13. But I think as a team right now, they're doing a great job for Spawn Up to try to split into these sites, to try to set up for these trades. But Envy is just on a different level.
Yeah, that last play that we just saw over the top of the C long area, you saw Food throwing his paranoia directly in front of Crashies at the precise moment that Spot Up was coming out long C. It caught all of it. That level of teamwork is why Envy is so scary. Over here at long A, the press comes in for Spot Up. A fast push. You know, some trades come out, but 2 kills go the way of Envy. 3 kills go the way of Envy, and suddenly Spot Up's in a 2v4 match series map point. It's all marbles here on the line for Spot Up in a 1v4. I don't see this happening. Figment does find the first, though. Not out of it yet is Spot Up. Bending off Reyna Lears, not enough. Caboose finds the kill, 13-4, a quick 2-0 for Envy. Spot Up falls to a dominant Envy, Vansilli.
I even think that, that's the final score of both of these maps, and, you know, that's the story of how Envy is strong at the end of the day. Even though we saw a couple of whiffs from FNS's position where he had to backstab onto Kanpeki jetting into the site, he still has 2 other teammates with his own jet, with Mumage is going to work right there with the Blade Storm as well. So congratulations here to Envy. Very one-sided, but, you know, I'm still going to be happy of the performance that Spawn Up has put up so far from the open qualifiers till today.
So there's the thing you have to ask yourself. Okay, sure, they don't do that great here, but the fact that they even made it to this point is an accomplishment. Do you worry that maybe there's a certain amount of like, well, we got this far? We always talk about that in other things where like, does the team finally hit that point where like, we're not going to get beyond this point. We got this far. That's our accomplishment. Lex, as a former player yourself, did you ever find yourself thinking that, or was it always like, oh, we got this in the bag, there's no concerns?
It's not. I think that's almost like a symptom of NA scene and maybe just gaming in general, where you almost plateau at a level beneath the best teams and you assume that there's an issue with yourselves, you know, as players, or maybe the roles that you have within a team. You start to question, like, can we do this? Like you said, Bach. And to me, there's nothing breaks my heart more than a good team that just hasn't developed themselves enough yet, disbanding with the hopes of getting signed to an org or maybe testing for agency. And that's not to say that those players shouldn't do that. Chase after your dreams, man. Get after it. But the teamwork aspect of a 5v5 tac shooter is always the most profound and important factor involving a team success versus individual skill. So to me, you know what, man? Like, they may be practicing consistently against the top teams. I don't know. But sometimes the level of the opponents that you're playing against does reflect the level that you're playing at. And I hope that as they continue, I mean, you mentioned it, Bach. They qualified to be here. You know, they made a level, they made it to the level that a lot of these top teams are already at, right? At least competitively speaking. So I think, you know, as far as those players go, they have a lot to build off of. And, you know, it could be that the IGL maybe needs some more experience. Maybe you need a coach involved. Maybe each individual on the team is lacking some skill sets that could be improved upon. There's a lot to speculate here on, but I think ultimately, to answer your question, Bach, these guys, I think they should stick together and keep after it. And I'm sure that, you know, they're not out of the tournament yet, but, you know, as far as having the pieces in place, it's there. It's just, it's going to take some time, and it's going to take some adjusting and learning and growth from the players.
For me, just to chime into what Lex is saying, is I don't exactly that. For me, Spawn Up, their goal going into this tournament was last week. Let's at least make it to the top 16, and you've already reached that goal. Now let's try to see how far it could go. This is where, you know, you get your first obstacle. You're not out of it yet, but you still have a great learning opportunity as a team. When you're looking at how Equinox was looking into their tournaments, or, for example, a Slimy Boogerman, or anybody else that's trying to get into the echelon that are finally playing Tier 1 teams. I'm talking also about Luminosity Gaming at that point. This is also experiencing probably one of the first and few times that you're actually finally able to play a top 10 team where that skill level is different. We always talk about how Tier 2 teams always play against each other and to develop these strats that Tier 1 teams maybe don't expect from time to time. It could be the same thing exactly from a Tier 1's perspective. So now you're adding a little bit more experience under your belt from learning from these losses versus Envy, and you're becoming a little bit more complete as a core. Where I even told Figment the same thing. I mean, they have the firepower. They have everything that's necessary to be able to put up good numbers. It's just that they need that learning experience from other teams of how they play and how they adapt to that. Studying demos for the past week into this matchup maybe is not enough. And playing it made them realize that at this point, that what's missing, and I think they'll come back in full force. I hope that they come back in full force too.
I mean, here's the thing, right? You mentioned studying demos and spending that time. If you're not a salaried roster team, you might have other requirements and other life obligations. Even just talking to Anthony Mummy, when they got signed, I said, you know, you feel like this is going to help take you guys to the next level? And he said, yeah, it takes off a lot of pressure from us. And he said, it's not even just a financial thing. It's like, now I have somebody who can focus on scheduling our scrims and making sure that the players are in the right place at the right time. He's like, now we can just focus on playing the game, which is the way that it's supposed to be for someone who's in the position that they had frequently been in at the time when they were playing as Together We Are Terrific. So I think that, you know, a team like Spot Up or a team like Slimy Boogerman, they're going to struggle because of the fact that they don't have that same level of capability. The opportunities maybe just aren't there to kind of take the game to the next level. And you can see that in these replay packages as well, brought to you by our wonderful friends at GoPuff. That's right. It's time to go back into the GoPuff Barney bag. GoPuff, of course, the official delivery partner of Nerd Street Gamers. Use code NERDSTREET to get $4 off your first 4 orders. GoPuff, ordered in seconds, delivered in minutes. Oh, man, is this? I got some cat treats. Okay, so not something that I can eat. We
You
got
wanted your
Dunkaroos
cat not to hit the
yesterday.
keyboard before, and now she
Dude,
can.
I mean, I actually, so yesterday we opened up some Ben and Jerry's vegan cookie dough bites. I ate the whole bag. Like, I don't think you're supposed to do that. I don't think the serving size is a whole bag. I don't care. That's the
Well
only
done.
thing I've eaten today. I went for a run, and I have had a decaf coffee and a bag of edible
Nice.
vegan cookie dough. So maybe I should eat these. Maybe
Jealous.
that'll be better for me in the long run because it's possible that this will have some more nutritional value than what I've already
It's probably
consumed today. But
protein and fat, keto.
as there's a lot of omega-3s in here too because it's crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside, filled with like some kind
Wow.
of fish, I'm sure. Tempting tuna flavor. And maybe if I get hungry enough, I'll get tempted enough to eat it. Thank you so much, Go Puff. My cats will love that, guys. We're going to go ahead and throw things to a break. When we come back, we'll be jumping into another series here as the Valorant First Strike Closed Qualifier presented by Nerd Street Gamers continues on. Stay tuned.